6, and I'm going to do it both ways. So you can decide which way you like doing it better. Especially if you weren't here, then make sure that you see both of these and decide which way you like. Now, here's the key. Synthetic division can only be done if you're dividing by an equation with no coefficient in front of the x and it's not squared. So for example, could you do synthetic division on number 2?
No.
No. Could you do synthetic division on number 3?
No.
No. But I can do it on 1, 4, 5, 6. Can you see the difference in the problems now? Look at what it's being divided by. That tells you whether you can use synthetic division. So I'm going to do number 6 both ways, by synthetic and by box method. Okay, so here's number 6, box method way. This is the way we've normally been doing it. I write the divisor on the left. That's important. Whatever the divisor is, the bottom part, divided by part, this is the divisor, I write it on the left. The numerator, or what we're going to divide it into, isn't really written anywhere. Okay? We write the first term in the first box of our long division. Okay? So right here in this first box, what am I going to write? On number 6. What's your name?
Me?
Uh-huh.
Kadri.
Kadri, what am I going to write on number 6? In that first box.
I don't know.
What's the first term of the numerator? X to the what? 4. You see that? So I'm looking at number 16. Can you see where the x to the 4th is, Kadri?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what goes in that first box. Now really we're using that to help us, but that's the only one we write down to start. Okay? Now, the next thing I got to do is I've got to say, I ask myself this question. These are what we're going to multiply to that first term to make that term. Okay, so I want to say, what do I multiply x by to make x to the 4th? Destiny, what is it? X to the 3rd. Now here's the tricky part. Okay, this is where kids usually mess up. They can usually do that far and then they get messed up. I got to times the x to the 3rd to the negative 3. And that becomes negative 3x to the 3rd. Then, this next box is the hardest and trickiest box. Once you get this box set up, everything will just flow. It makes sense after this box. But how I get this box is I have to look at the x to the 3rd part of number 6. So look at number 6, numerator. What is the x to the 3rd part, Whitley? 8x cubed. You with me? Negative 8x cubed. Negative 8x. Keep the sign with it. Okay, so if it's negative 8x cubed, how many x cubes do I already have? Negative 3. And you've got to add or subtract to go to this. Don't multiply or divide. Okay, make sure you add or subtract to go to this. So if we go from negative 3 to negative 8, what do I have to do, Kevin? Negative 5x to the 3rd. That's what goes in that box. And that's the most critical box. That's the hardest thing to get. Now, a lot of kids are like, where the heck did the negative 5 come from? There's no negative 5 on the problem. And that's true. But it came from the problem, actually, because it's negative 8x cubed on the problem. I had negative 3. Negative 3 minus 5 more will give me the negative what? 8. Everybody with me on that? That's how you get that second box. And that's super important. Because once you have that, then you're like, oh, I got how to do this now. Okay, what should I times x by to get negative 5x cubed? Jax, what will it be?
Negative 5x squared.
Yep, negative 5x squared. These are going on the top. These become your answer, by the way, the top part here. Okay? And then I times negative 5x squared times negative 3. Negative times a negative is a? Positive what? 15x squared. Okay? Now, again, I look at the problem. Everybody with me on this? I'm looking at the problem. Isaac, what does the problem say the x squared part should be?
55. Wait.
This is the tricky part. There is no x squared in the problem. Can everybody see that?
Oh, yeah.
That's why I'm doing this one. There is no x squared in the problem. So I wish it was a what? A 0. But it's already what? How do I go from 15 to 0? Minus 15x squared. Everybody got that? Pay attention. to where you're trying to get to, okay? Don't just assume, hey, the next one is the next one. In this case, there was no x squared in the problem. You with me? And you might want to put that on number 6 if you're taking notes or if you're writing it in your thing. If there's not an x squared, you must have a 0x squared there to hold the place. You with me? And that's how I got the negative 15x squared. I need 0x squared. All right, now, what do I times x by to get negative 15x squared? Kyson, what do I have there? Negative 15x times that to the negative 3. Negative times the negative is a positive. 3 times 15 is 45x. Okay, and again, now I look at it. Now, Isaac, what should I put in that top box? I'm at 45, and I wish I was at what?
10.
55, so I need 10 more x's. 10x, okay? What do I times the x by to make 10x? Derek, what would I times x by to make 10x? 10. Put that up here. 10 times negative 3 is negative 30. Now, if it was negative 30 as the last number, I would have no remainder, right? But here I do. Negative 30, oh, I wish it was negative 35. What do I got to do to go from negative 30 to negative minus 5, right? So minus 5 is my what? Remainder. Okay? So what is actually the answer to this question? Well, don't rewrite it. Just leave it right here. Make sure your signs are all in. I forgot to put a plus 10 there. And then I just put plus what? Negative 5, that's the remainder, over the divisor. X minus 3, and that's my answer. Okay? And that's how you do long division. Make sure you use your 0x's. That's going to be the hardest part on this. You're going to forget the 0x part, right? Or the 0x squared, whatever it is. You see what I'm saying? The 0x parts are the parts that are going to be hard to figure out on this test. Okay, synthetic division. Okay, I'm doing the same exact problem. I'm going to do it the synthetic division way. Here is the key to synthetic division, and here's where people mess up. It's right at the first. A lot of kids are going to try and synthetically divide by negative 3. What should they synthetically divide by? Positive 3. It's the opposite sign of that. It's really the value of x that would cause it to be 0. That's something you might want to write in your notes. It's really the value of x that causes it to be 0, the denominator to be 0, is really what you're using for synthetic division. So notice if I had 3 minus 3, it would give me what? 0. That's really what I'm using. So that goes in the synthetic division box. If I set this factor equal to 0 and solved it, that's the value of x that goes in the synthetic division. Okay? Then I just go in descending order with the coefficients. Which means, what am I going to write? Descending order of the coefficients. Sid, what am I going to write on number 6? Look at the top part. What am I going to write? What's the coefficient for the x to the 4th? Nope, don't put 0 if there's nothing in front of the x to the 4th. What should I put? Go ahead. 1. So I've got to go 1, then what? 1, then what? Just say them loud.
8.
Negative 8. Go, Sid.
55.
Wrong. How did he mess up? He forgot the x squared part, which is the 0. You got to go 0 first, and then the what? 55. Missing the 0, forgetting to change the sign are the two mistakes that are made on synthetic division all the time. People forget the 0, they forget to change this sign. That's where the mistakes will be made almost all the time. And then the last one is what? Negative 35. Okay? Now I'm ready to do synthetic division. Give yourself some space and draw a line underneath it. This is the best way to do this. And then I drop the first coefficient. In this case, I'm dropping a what? 1. That's important. A lot of kids start multiplying and then they don't know what to multiply by. Now I just multiply and add all the way across. Multiply, 3 times 1 is? 3 minus 8 is? Negative 5. Negative 5 times 3 is? Negative 15 plus 0 is? Negative 15. Negative 3 times negative 15 is? Negative 45. 55 minus 45 is? 10. 3 times 10 is? 30. Negative 5. That's the remainder. These are just gonna put the signs in, and it's 1 degree less than the original. This is the other way that people mess up. The original was x to the what? 4th, so this 1 is 1x to the what? 1 degree less. So 1 less than 4 is? 3. This becomes 1x cubed minus 5x squared. It just goes in straight descending order. 3, 2, 1, x, no x, and then the remainder. That's my answer. Is that the same answer I got up here? Exactly the same. I don't care which way you do it. Some kids always want to do the way that always works. Are you with me on that? To be the box man, that always works. Some kids are like, well, I want to do the easy way if I can, and this seems easier to do synthetic division. So some kids want to do the synthetic division one when they can. The problem is you can't always do what? Synthetic division. Okay, let me do number 2 with you also as we go through this. So that was number 6. You can do it one of those 2 ways. Let me do number 2 with you. This one can't be done with synthetic division. How come? Because of the x squared. It will not work. Synthetic division will not work on this one. Okay? So I'm going to have to do it the long division way. Here's where the mistake's going to be made. Somebody's going to put an x squared, and then they're going to put a minus 1. But what are they going to forget? The 0x. Put that in there. Just like we put it in the equation, or we factored into the numerator, we also have to put it in the denominator, which is like number 2. This is number 2 on the worksheet. Okay, so here I have, I'm ready to go. That's my denominator. I have my 0x. There's going to be 3 boxes on this one, obviously. Okay, because we have 3 terms in the denominator. That 0x wasn't listed, but I need to put it in there. You need to have a placeholder for anything between the highest degree and the lowest degree. Okay, now let's put the first term in the first box. So, looking at number 2, what's the first term, Josh? On number 2.
3x cubed.
3x cubed. That's going to go right here. This is going to be a pretty short problem because we're already at x cubed. And I just am going to ask myself, what do I times x squared by to get 3x cubed? And Kaveri, what will I times it by? 3x. Very good. So I'm going to times it by 3x. 3x times x squared will give me the 3x cubed. Now I just times it out. What's 3x times 0x? 0x what?
Square.
Squared. That's the important part. Just don't zero it out. Do the exponents when you do the 0. Okay, that's something else you might want to have in your notes. Make sure you continue the exponents even if you times by 0. So I got 0x what? What's x times x? X squared. Can you see that? Okay. Then I take 3x times negative 1 is? Negative 3x. Okay. Now, I kind of go sideways, crossways, right? And I just start with this one. Don't worry about this one yet. I'll get to the x's. But I've got to do the x squareds first before I do the x's. You with me on that? I have 0x squared. How many x squareds do I wish I had according to the problem on number 2? 1x squared. I have 0, I need 1, I better put a what? X squared. Well, that's easy. How come I say that's easy? Because what do I times x squared by to get x squared? 1. So this is just going to be a plus 1. Now, by the way, the minute I write a plus 1 there, I know this is the last time I'm going to have to do this all the way through. Everything else will be a what?
Remainder.
A remainder, okay? So this is the last time I'm going to have to go through here, and then I'm just going to add up along the sides to figure out my remainder. So I just do 1 times this. This is 0x. Again, don't forget to put the 0x part in as you go. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1, okay? Now I look at the x values. Look at the problem. Okay, you got to look at the problem while you do this, okay? Katie, is it Katie? So on number 2, how many x's do I wish I had? 4 x's. How many x's do I have? Don't forget the sign. I have negative 3. Don't say 3, because if you say 3, you're going to say, hey, I only need 1 more. But if you say negative 3, and I got to get to 4, how far do you have to go? 7 x's. 7 x's. That's what I need. Okay? All right. How about the numeric value? What's the numeric value I wish I had? 7. What numeric value do I have so far?
-1.
So I must have what more? 8 more, right? Because I want to get to 7. This right here, though, represents the what? The remainder. So my answer is 3x plus 1 plus 7x plus 8 over what? X squared minus 1. I don't have to put the 0x in that divisor. That's my answer. Okay? That shows you a little bit how to do 0x's. Those are the tricky ones. On 7 through 10, it just says match the expression. Now in some ways, this makes it a little easier. Because as you do the division, obviously, you're going to be able to, you're going to be able to eliminate some of your answers. You with me? I don't want to do all these, but let's do 9 together. And then I'll let you try the other ones down in this bottom part. But let's do 9 together, okay? And we'll match it up with what goes with it. Again, can I do number 9 with regular long, or synthetic division? Can't do it with synthetic. I have to use what? Long. How come? The x squared, yeah? And then I'm going to put a 0x, and then I'm going to put a minus 2. Okay, I got my triple here. What goes in the very first box? That's usually where kids actually get messed up. They're like, how in the heck do you even start this? Well, I got to put in that first box. Well, what goes in the first box? It's the first term in the numerator, or on the top. And in this case, it's x to the what? 4. So I'm going to put an x to the 4th there. Then I just ask myself the question, what do I times x squared by to get x to the 4th? X squared. That goes here, times it out. Even if you times by 0, do the exponents. 0x cubed. Negative 2x squared. Okay? I have 0x cubed. How many x cubes do I wish I had, Jax? Number 9.
7.
Negative 7.
Negative, yeah.
Don't forget your signs. Okay? I want to go from 0 to negative 7. Well, that's negative 7. X cubed. Okay. X squared, how do I get x, negative 7x cubed? Times by what? Negative 7 what? X. Now, I'm going to stop right there for a second. Do I already know the answer? Yeah. This is what I mean by don't do more work than you need to. Especially on like ACT questions, they'll have these similar type of questions. You guys will just keep going, right? Don't. When you get to a point that you say, hey, I can probably differentiate, because look at all the different x's on there, right? I can probably differentiate between all those different matches. So I'm done right now, because I can tell that this answer is what? C, and I'm done. Don't do the whole problem. Save yourself some time, okay? That's the key on this matching portion, is to save yourself some time. Okay, flip it over. Now, this is going to be tricky on the test. Number 11 is still what? Matching from the front side. Are you with me on that? How do I know number 11 is matching? Flip it over back and forth and you can see how I know number 11 is still matching. Well, it changes instructions right after number 11, but there's another reason why you can tell that number 11 is matching. What is it? Has a little dash out to the side. That's kind of a hint that it's matching, okay? So 11 is still a matching problem, and it'll be the same on the test. All of a sudden you'll flip it over and you'll be like, what do I do with that problem? Right? But it's still just matching, okay? All right, let's do 13. Now this one's similar to what we've been doing, but what does it ask? Determine whether the binomial is a factor of the polynomial. How will we know whether it's a factor or not? This is important, and you want to write this out to the side, and then make sure this is in your notes. If the remainder is what? 0. If the remainder ends up 0, it's a factor. If the remainder doesn't end up 0, it's what? Not a factor. Okay, put that out to the side. If the remainder ends up being 0, it's a factor. If the remainder doesn't end up being 0, it's what? Not a factor. Everybody got it? Okay, now let's do number, let's do 13. Okay, let's do 13. And I'm going to do this one with synthetic division. Can I do it with synthetic? Yeah. And I think that's a little bit easier, especially the more terms there are, the easier this will be. So I'm gonna go negative 8. How did I get negative 8? What was the denominator? X plus 8, so what would the value of x be that would cause it to be 0? Negative 8. You with me on that? So make sure you put your sign with it. It's super important. Messing up signs is the other way that people miss this real easy. Now I need to go in perfect descending order. Perfect descending order means if I'm missing an x or an x squared or an x cubed or whatever, I got to put a 0x in there, right? Okay, 13. What should I write in perfect descending order for the coefficients? Perfect descending order for the coefficients. Let's see who I'm going to call now. Brody, what should I put in perfect descending order on this one for number 13?
-2.
Yep.
-13.
Yep.
-10.
Nope.
Or I mean +10.
Very good.
Sorry.
Okay.
-9.
Good.
0.
0 and what?
0x.
And the negative what? 64. Can you see how I threw the 0 in there towards the end? Most kids, again, are going to forget the 0. That's the biggest mistake made on these. Or they're going to have the wrong 8. They'll have an 8 instead of a what? -8. Those are the two big mistakes if you're going to use synthetic division that you got to watch out for. Make sure you take the opposite sign of the denominator, and then make sure you put in the 0x's. People who forget those that's the mistakes that are going to be made if you use synthetic division. So if you like doing it this way, just make sure you do those two things. Make sure you change the sign of the denominator, and make sure you put in a 0x. Almost all the rest of them are going to be easy. What's the first step then? I draw a line, give myself some room, and drop down the what? -2. Now I just multiply and add all the way across. What's a negative times a negative? Positive 2 times 8 is 16 minus 13 is 3. 3 times -8 is -24 plus is -14. That one I need a calculator for because I'm too dumb. But I'm going to say big, and then it's going to get big, and then it's going to get really small. Oh wait, it could be -64. I guess I better do it out. Okay, I just wanted to see if it was going to work out. Because sometimes it just won't work out. I don't really care, right? So if I can see that the remainder is not going to be 0, I'm like, what do I care? But this one really could be 0, so I better times it all out. So what's -8 times -14? Somebody help me out on that.
114.
114?
Wait, no, 112.
112? Okay, -9 is 103 times -8 is, wow, -800 and bazillion.
24.
Okay, whatever. And then I add that -820, and then I'm times it by negative, it's plus a lot, and that's too much. And why am I doing it that way? Am I actually trying to find the whole answer? No, what was I trying to find out? Did it have a remainder? Yes. Too much is not 0. So I don't really care what it is. I just know that this one is not a what? Factor. This one is not a factor. Okay? All right. Let's do 15 through 17. Oh, wait. Okay, 17, remind me. Well, maybe it'll work out. Let's do 17. I don't know if this will work out. 15 and 16 are good to go. 17 I'm a little nervous about. How come? It's the x to the 4th versus x cubes. Yeah, when I'm done dividing it, I'm afraid I won't get an x squared. And if I don't get an x squared, I could have issues. Okay? So that's what I'm a little nervous about. But we'll see. Okay, let's do 17. Do you want to do synthetic or do you want to do box? How many of you want me to do box? How many of you want me to do synthetic? Ooh, that's about a toss-up. Should we toss a coin? Let's do both. All right. I got time. We can do both. All right, so 17. Here's the box. Here's synthetic. I'll do them at the same time. And what's going to be the first thing that I put up here in the box? X to the 4th. And then here I'm going to go 1, -5, 0, -27, 135. Everybody agree with that? Yeah, and by the way, these will help me do this top part anyway, so I'm good with that. So, how many times is x go into x to the 4? X cubed, that's negative 5x cubed. What do I wish it was? Negative 5x cubed, that's good, then I now have 0. So now I have 0x cubed. Oh, this won't be easy. Okay, that's okay. 0x cubed. How many times does x go into 0x cubed? 0x squared times that, that's 0x squared. And then I wish it was 0, so that's 0x squared. And this is going to be a 0x, and then that's going to be 0x. But I wish it was negative 27, so this is now negative 27x. That's going to be negative 27. Oh, it'll kind of semi, but you probably don't know how to do this. And then negative times a negative is a positive 135. Hey, this is 0. Should I always expect 0 on those last 3? On the last 3, am I always expecting the remainder to be 0? Yeah, because it already tells me what? Show the binomial as a factor of the polynomial. Well, if the remainder is 0, it is. And then find the rest of it. Well, I can't find the rest of it if I don't know that. So what do I have left? I have x cubed minus 27. And I've got to factor that. Now, some of you won't remember how to factor that. Because it says, then factor the function completely. You guys remember how to factor a difference of perfect cubes?
No.
You should have learned this at your sophomore year. Can you remember how to do this?
No.
You can't? Okay, it's really simple. So watch this and write this in some notes, okay? Because it's really easy. You take the cubed root of x cubed. What's the cubed root of x cubed? X. Take the cubed root of 27. 3. You take the sign in the middle. That's the first factor. Cubed root, sign in the middle. Super easy. Everybody got it? How I got that? Now, here's how you get the next factor. This is still pretty easy. Take the first term squared. First term times the second term, opposite sign. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. Opposite sign is what? Plus 3x. Last term squared. Negative times a negative is a 3 squared is 9. That's it. So it's not hard. So if you forgot, okay, it's not that hard to do. I take the cubed root, sign in the middle. Everybody got it? That's really easy. And then from there, I use the values I already have, and I find my other factor using this factor. First term squared. First term times second term, opposite sign. Last term squared. You think I'm right? I don't know, maybe I forgot how to do it. Maybe I forgot how to do it. Let's find out. I'm going to distribute and see if I can get right back to here. What does this give you? X cubed plus what? 3x squared plus 9x. Distribute here. What do I get? Negative 3x squared. Notice how I'm lining up my like terms. Negative times a positive is a negative 9x. Notice how I'm lining up my like terms. Negative what? I add those up. What do I get? That's the right factorization. Cool, huh? Was that not cool? That's pretty cool. Okay. So then it's not that hard. Cubed root, sign in the middle. Take the first term of that binomial, square it. Take the two terms of the binomial, multiply them and change the sign. That's how I got the plus 3x. Take the last term of the binomial, the negative 3. Square it, negative times a negative is a positive 9. That's the way it'll look every time. Okay, kind of cool. What if I did it by synthetic division? Would I get a completely different answer? Better not. Let's see what I get. Drop it, times it. Add it, times it. Add it, times it. Add it, times it. I don't care about the phone. Remainder is what? Remainder is 0. So what did we have? We had x to the what? 4th, and this will now be x to the 3rd. This is 0x squared. This is a 0x. Minus 27, and then I'll factor that just like I did that. So will I get the same thing if I do synthetic? Yeah. Same thing either way. On that one, you can see how easy synthetic was. That was really easy. Okay? Okay, do you want me to try any others? Or do you want to just try them on your own and then just get help individually? Because I'll try any others you want me to do. That you say, you know what, that one looks really hard. I've done a few boxes and I've done a few synthetics and I've done ones that are factors and ones that aren't, and yeah.
Did you number 3?
3. Okay, did I not do 3?
No, you did it.
I didn't.
You did 2.
I did 2 do 3, didn't I?
No, you
I
did
did 2. I did 3. All right, let's do 3. 3, you have to use a what? You gotta use a box because it's not a binomial, so you have to use a box. It's not a binomial of degree 1. So I've got to do the box. And it's a 3x box, so it's going to be a little bit complicated. But the first spot isn't that complicated. What goes in the first spot? 4x to the what? 4x to the 4th. And I just asked myself the same question. What do I multiply x squared by to get 4x to the 4th? 4x what? Squared. Times it to each of these other terms of the denominator. 4 times 3 is? 12x cubed. 4 times negative 1 is? Negative 4x squared. Now I move on to my cubes. I have 12x cubed, but what do I wish I had? Negative 4, right? So you gotta really think on this one, on a number line. You're at 12 and you want to get to negative 4. What do? You gotta subtract 16x cubed. Okay? What do I times this by? To get that? Negative 16x. Okay? Times it. Negative 16 times 3 is? Negative 48. X squared. Negative times a negative is a? 16x. Add these, negative 8 and negative 48 and negative 4 more is negative 52, right? Everybody agree with that? So I have negative 52. What do I wish I had? Let's see. I wish I had negative 4. Oh, I got to add what? Well, to get negative 4, I got to add the 48. X squared. Okay? This will be the last one I'm going to have to do. Because I have to. So notice how I go in the diagonal there. Everybody see that? I had negative 4x minus 48x squared. And I wanted negative 4x squared. Well, I had to add out the 48x squared that was negative to bring that part to 0, and then I would have negative 4x squared, which is what I wanted. Where did I get negative 4x squared from? It was in the what? In the problem in number 3. Notice there's a negative 4x squared there.